Welcome to Make Something. I'm David Picciuto. Today we are going to make a sculpture so I can learn some new techniques. Today's video is brought to us by Squarespace. As you're watching, you might notice me doing some things in an unusual order. We'll talk about why, as well as some of the tools that I used at the end of the video. This is a log I found on the side of the road after a recent storm. Before we get into the details of this guy, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. I have been using Squarespace for like 5 years now, and before that, I was a professional web developer for over 10 years. Why do I use Squarespace when I know how to make a website from the ground up? That's just because Squarespace is super easy to use. Their templates are absolutely beautiful, and it just makes my life so much easier. If you are selling your art and crafts, you can do so on your Squarespace site as well as in person. Squarespace keeps track of your inventory, and you can sell both digital and physical items, which is what I do on my website, makesomething.com. And I like Squarespace so much that my podcast, makingitpodcast.com, is a Squarespace site, as well as the go-kart racing league that I'm in. With Squarespace, you can easily create galleries of your work, and you can bring in all your social media feeds so you have one central place to show potential clients. So visit squarespace.com, and when you are ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for being a longtime sponsor. Thank you for sticking around. Now let's talk about the details of this sculpture. So when I picked up this log, I knew I wanted to incorporate the rotten part into it. I had a outside design in mind, and I started power carving with the Arbortech Turbo Plane. I've used those chain attachments for your angle grinder in the past for carving, and I just find them too dangerous. Stumpy Nubs has a great video on how it almost killed him. You should really go check that out. Once I had a flat surface, I transferred my design to the log, and I quickly learned that power carving was going to take a long time. So I went out and got an electric chainsaw as well as a full face mask because the safety glasses just were not doing it for me. The rotten part of the tree was still very wet and soft, and I knew I was going to cover it with black epoxy, so I used a torch to dry it out and harden it a little bit. And then I dyed the epoxy black and just brushed it on. From here, I decided that the shape just wasn't working, so I made another template and rough cut it out on the bandsaw and did some more power carving with the turbo plane. Once I finally had a shape that I liked, I used the sanding attachment for the Arbortech and smoothed it all out. I also wanted to do something for the back, so I gave it this dimple texture with the ball gouge. First time ever using one, and it didn't take long to get the hang of it. It's all about the angle. I wanted to make a metal stand for it, so I pulled the Impala out of the garage and welded up a base. For me, the stand is like a picture frame. It should be nice, but it shouldn't take away from the art. I then mixed up some orange and red transfast dye in hot water and wiped it on. I thought this color would really contrast the rotten black part. And then I sprayed everything with lacquer. Lacquer dries very fast, and even faster when you're using an HVLP gun because the particles are so small. I was able to put on about 10 coats with 5 minutes between each coat. That is how fast this stuff dries. This was my first time using an HVLP gun. It takes a little bit to get used to, but I got this whole turbine system to paint the Impala in the spring. And finally, the sculpture just slides onto the base, and then I added some felt for the bottom. The reason I did things out of order, like power carving and then chainsawing and then power carving and then to the bandsaw and then back to power carving, is I kept changing my mind. I know this sounds cliche, but I was letting the wood talk to me, and I just wasn't happy with the design, and the wood said, I want to be this shape, so I made it this shape. I love how the rotten part bleeds off the edge, so the outside shape is very symmetrical, but the rotten part breaks that up, and then there's all the little bug holes and stuff in there that I think really add some good contrast to it. This does sit on a desk like this, but it's a little awkward, and I think the base kind of just adds more attention to it. It is super heavy. Am I worried that this wasn't dried properly and will crack in the future? Yeah, a little bit. It's wet wood, so if it cracks, it will be part of the design, or I will fix it in the future. We'll just wait and see. Rule number 4, consider everything an experiment. And something I've been trying to do a lot more is play. Just play with design, play with the projects, have fun, let the projects speak to you, and just kind of go with the flow. And that's what happened with this project, and I absolutely love it. There's just something about orange dyed wood that I really love. My guitar is an orange dyed wood, as well as my drum set. I think it just makes wood look absolutely beautiful. I will have links to all the tools that I use down in the description. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week with a brand new project. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.